We're back. It's good to be back, and I'm on the right channel this time as well. I'm hoping I'm on the right channel this time. Anyway, good to be back doing some streaming and talking about Forest, which is obviously the thing that we're all here to kind of talk about and hear about as well. And of course, we're coming back off that draw against Chelsea this weekend, which was a fantastic day out. I love doing away days. I absolutely love doing away days, even though for the first two seasons there was barely any wins that I actually witnessed. But now we're on a complete change of fortune almost because we're doing really well away from home. But the home form does need to be addressed a little bit, and that's something we'll kind of get onto a little bit later on. But I think overall we can be pretty impressed actually with how the season started. 10 points from your first 6 games or your first 7 games is decent. It's not bad considering some of the opponents that we've faced already, you know, the likes of Brighton, Chelsea, Liverpool, etc. So we're doing actually really well, I think, in that respect. But yeah, first of all, I just want to welcome you back to the streams. This will be a regular thing once again, in case you haven't seen already. This will be my last season for a little while covering Forest here in the UK because I'm moving to Australia next year in June. Not for any work reasons or not like a permanent thing. It's just that I want a year out. And I will still be doing like this podcast and I'll still be doing like the written stuff. I'll still be watching the games. I just won't actually be in person at the City Ground for a year. So it's going to be difficult because that's been basically my life and I'm sure a lot of your lives for a while. So it's not nice to be away from it, but still it'll be an exciting thing. So stick with me on this journey, you know, until June. And then in June, we'll kind of talk about what we're going to do next. And obviously the podcast will carry on, but we'll see what lies in store for that. So yeah, until June, you've got me. I'm sorry. And I'll be talking about Forest and all the latest. So a few of you on at the moment. Kel, good to see you. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Rad Dad, good to see you as well. The weekend before last. And yeah, let's talk about Chelsea. Let's talk about it. And please put the comments in. Let me know what you're thinking after that result. And I will say it's a result because I did go into the game and obviously I'm always trying to be optimistic because I'm a Forest fan, but at the same time, I'm not pessimistic, but I'm realistic in regard to the fact that at the game I'm working on it and I'm analysing the game and I'm trying to give an honest and fair opinion about the outcome of the game. And at the start of the game, I didn't really give Forest a huge chance of getting more than a point. I think a point, I said, I think Forest would take and I think is attainable. 3 points I didn't think they could do. And I'll be honest, I think even at one point I was doubting my own opinion on that, really. I thought that at one point Forest started doing really, really well, obviously after the goal. And they might push for another one. And they were unlucky not to get one in, you know, the last 5 or 10 minutes. But I suppose so were Chelsea. Both goalkeepers were magnificent. I feel like one of them has to win the save of the month, don't they, in the Premier League? One of them has to, because some of the saves they pulled out in the last 10 or so minutes or in that 13 minutes of added time were absolutely phenomenal. And, you know, I've seen Robert Sanchez from Chelsea get a lot of criticism, but he does make important saves and he's there when it matters. And I think that he offers a lot of really important stops, and maybe not necessarily consistency, but his shot stopping his ability is really, really impressive. And actually, I think he had quite a good game for Chelsea. But for Forest, I think Matt Sells was brilliant. He's someone that has been given a lot of stick. And, you know, I'm not going to say I totally disagree with the criticism that he's got. But he's a perfectly good goalkeeper, Matt Sells, you know, and he has saved Forest on numerous occasions when they've really needed it. And often it goes overlooked because of the fact that you've had a good result. Someone else has played really well. You know, and the goalkeeper often isn't really recognised until they make a mistake, which is an unfortunate part of being a goalkeeper. But I think that he was excellent. And for, you know, the less than £5 million you pay for him, that's the sort of goalkeeper you're getting. I think is brilliant. It's a huge upgrade on Matt Turner, a huge upgrade on Odysseus Vlachodimos. And, you know, while I don't think he's the long-term replacement, or I say replacement, I suppose we've not had a long-term goalkeeper since Brice Samba left, right? Which is the worst decision the club had made, really, in my opinion. since returning to the Premier League. But we can't dwell on the fact that we haven't had a long-term goalkeeper for the last 2 or 3 years. You've just got to go and get one. I don't think Matt Sels necessarily, as I say, will be the long-term. But for now, I don't think we need to go and get someone in January. I think we're quite all right until January. I think next summer you could probably start looking at it. But Matt Sels, for me, has earned plaudits. He's earned the praise. And he's earned the right to be number one at Nottingham Forest. And I really like what I saw from Carlos Miguel against Newcastle for the most part. But you've got to work your way in. And at the moment, Matt Sels hasn't done anything to deserve being dropped, I don't think. And that Chelsea game really pushed his stock up even higher. So, yeah, credit to Matt Sels, because even though he's got the criticism, and again, sometimes rightly so, he was brilliant. I mean, it was literally the ball on the goal line. And I checked the goal line technology as well when it came up on the replay screens in front of us. And when I say how close it was really, really close. And he brought it off the line in the first half, and then obviously the saves in the second half. Cole Palmer took a touch around Morato and had the shot, and he made a double save. There was a cross that came in from Mudryk, and the header was saved. There's just so many. There was a shot, and he parried it over the crossbar right at the end. That's what you want, a goalkeeper that's going to turn up in those moments. Because I do feel like in modern football, and there's nothing wrong with it, because I understand why teams would want a goalkeeper whose distribution is like far superior to others. I get the reasoning why, because it does offer you a lot more tactically. But the most basic and most important thing of being a goalkeeper is that you can save the shots. You're a good shot stopper, right? And that's really important. And I don't necessarily want a goalkeeper unless they've got that good shot stopping ability. Anything else is a bit of a bonus. And of course, again, the game demands you to have a goalkeeper that has a better distribution. That's Forest's issue with Matt Turner for the most part, because he couldn't distribute. And if you're trying to play it short, you knew he was a liability. And that's the problem. But Matt Sels, for me, is efficient with his feet, and he's fantastic with his hands. And that's really what you want from a goalkeeper. So, yeah, I will say just fantastic from him. And then I'm gonna go straight into it. I think my man of the match was Nikola Milenkovic. I don't know what other people are feeling. I know that the Premier League vote was Cole Palmer, but I'm guessing that's an FPL related thing, and it's completely biased. I don't think that made much sense for him to be voted man of the match. But I thought Nikola Milenkovic was absolutely outstanding. I mean, there's a lot of people that were quick and are still quick to jump on the train of thought that Forest are a completely reckless club in regards to their recruitment, completely reckless into regards of how they spend money. There's no strategy. Look at this summer. There's been a consistent age, right? 23 to 26. That's the kind of age range that Forest have been recruiting in, around that. They brought in experienced defenders that still have a lot of potential and want to reach their Premier League dream. That's what they've gone for. And every player they've brought in has had a good level of experience and a good level of potential, right? James Ward-Prowse is someone that's got the experience, and probably his ceiling is already where he's at. He can't really go any higher. Morato can. Elliot Anderson can. Moreira can. Carlos Miguel definitely can, when he can get that game time, which could well be next year. And obviously Moreno, you brought in an experienced player there. And the list goes on, doesn't it? And this is the thing. But you've got to look at that Forest defence, put aside the fact that they're small Nottingham Forest, according to all the big six clubs, and register the fact that they've got a better defensive record than nearly anyone in the league. That's what you've got to realise. And that's the really impressive thing for a Forest fan, because we've gone from having a really leaky away record in the first couple of seasons, more so the start of last season and definitely all of season before, and actually not being so great defensively anyway, to having this fantastic defence. I mean, Murillo was great last season, but you're going to get the best out of him this season because he's got Milenkovic next to him. And he had Willy Bolly next to him, Murillo, and he was always better. I think if you're going to play Murillo, you have to play him next to a leader of some sort. So that has to be Bolly. It has to be Milenkovic. It has to be one of these big leading centre-backs. And that's the really important thing for him to be in the best he can be, for him to continue improving. And yesterday it proved to me, definitely, and I'm sure to many people, that Nikola Milenkovic is not only a starting centre-back for Forest, but a future captain. There's just the qualities that he has there, I think, are future captain qualities. And, there's a couple of players I've said that about. But he's 26. He's absolutely huge. I mean, we were sitting pretty much at pitch side. We were, pretty much level with the pitch. And you could see from there how just his stature is phenomenal. And, for a striker that's got to face that, it's scary. It's scary. And not only is he massive and people will go, well, yeah, but, look at him. He could be a bit rash. He's huge. He's going to make a mistake. But he's so well composed and he's so calm when it comes to defending in 1v1 situations and also building out from the back when there is a high press, which is so important because often yesterday Chelsea would press with your Sancho on the left, who'd be, pretty much pinned to Olarena, Nicholas Jackson. You'd have Madueke coming in, and then you might have Enzo Fernandez kind of running forward as well to offer that fourth man in the press against the defence. And even then, Milenkovic didn't struggle. He didn't bow to the pressure. He was fantastic. There was only one thing I can think he didn't do wrong, that he did do wrong, and that was when James Ward-Prowse whipped in a free kick and he didn't make the run. But that's an offensive error from a defensive player, so I can't really be too. I can't really be too annoyed about that. I think he was really, really impressive. And again, that's why I've given him my man of the match, just because of his composure, his passion. You can really see how passionate he is and how much he wants Forest to win. You can just see that he's a player that not only cares, but he wants his contribution to be big. Like, he doesn't just want the team to win. He wants to be a massive part of that. And he's so organised as well with the back four. So, considering he's the second youngest out of the four, yeah, he's just fantastic. He's fantastic. And for £12 million, I don't think there'll be many better Premier League defenders out there that you're going to get for. I don't think there's a Premier League team that could get a player quite as good as that. And I've got to say as well, from a Forest perspective, they've recruited Murillo for £11 million, Milenkovic for £12 million in the space of 2 seasons. If Forest defensive recruitment isn't one of the best in the Premier League in regard to return on investment, I don't know who else is, because and I understand that there'll be better quality defenders at other teams, but you're not going to get the level of players that Forest have got this year for the price they got them for, and they have to get credit for that. And I think it's so incredible. So Milenkovic was brilliant. But as for the whole game, the first half, let's start with that. You sort of knew where Forest were, what sort of game Forest were going to play from the minute it started. You knew Forest weren't going to be the dominant side, and that's not a problem. I don't think. You have to play efficient football, not necessarily wonderful, attractive, always on the ball football. That's the important thing that people have to sometimes remember about the Premier League. And I saw a comment from a Chelsea account, and it said something about Forest playing the low block and, defending so much and whatever else. And I struggle to understand how someone can have that mentality about a team that is in its 3rd season in the Premier League, is still fighting to survive every season. We're not established, really, if you look at the last 2 league positions we've been in. We were lucky not to get relegated last year. If you think about how low scoring the relegation battle was, we were lucky in that respect. But, Forest have to adapt, and they have to do and play the way they have to get every point they need. Because at the end of the day, Chelsea are a very good team. Let's not get this twisted here. They've got Cole Palmer, who's on 10 goal contributions, scored 4 in one half against Brighton, who, by the way, beat Spurs, came back with 3 goals in the second half yesterday. And Spurs aren't doing bad either. Chelsea. This is a Chelsea side that should be pushing for top 4 this year, but they couldn't break down that low block that we played. And while I don't think that the answer to the Premier League is a low block every single game, if you have to play a low block against teams like Chelsea, or you have to play in a way that is more defensive in order to get points that you need on the board, why not? I don't see the issue with that. It's not the football, again, that I want to watch every week. And by the way, I'd say at home, I don't want us to line up like that. At home, I want us to line up as the home team, which I don't think we've done under Nuno really in the last few months. We haven't lined up as a home team. We've lined up as an away team, I'd say. And that's not the mentality or the outlook you should have at a home game, I don't think. But at an away game, especially Chelsea, I understand it. Tactically, Nuno has got it spot on against Liverpool and Chelsea. Even when we were down to 10 men with James Ward-Prowse, and at first I thought it was a silly mistake, I'm going to be honest, from James Ward-Prowse. But you look back and you think, he's slipped, he's made a mistake. The pass back really shouldn't have happened there anyway, because you can see the man's chasing after him. He's running outwards to come and press him. Ward-Prowse made a mistake and he thought, well, I don't want my keeper going one-on-one with Nicholas Jackson. So you know what? I'm just gonna jump on it. And he knows that he's going to get a second yellow card, but he took one for the team. Nuno was right, I think, in that press conference. He took one for the team. He did what had to be done. And ultimately, what happened? 1-1. We didn't end 2-1. We didn't concede from that. So, I think when we went down to 10 men, I was concerned. But this season, I felt a bit different because we've been down to 10 men twice. And twice we've been resilient. We've held on. In one of those games we scored, with Ramon Sosa against Brighton. And we've been brilliant. We've been brilliant when it comes to down to the really, really tough situations. The only game where we've actually not been very good is the game where I thought there was the most chance of us scoring. In terms of the other team, I don't think was particularly brilliant, and that was Fulham. I didn't think Fulham were that great when they came to the City Ground, but we made them look good because we lined up and we started like an away team at home, which isn't the way to go. But I'm not going to go and criticise for that game because that's a different topic altogether. But on the point of this game, the first half, yeah, it was good. It was productive. Couple of shots. We kind of had to learn about how Chelsea are going to play and again, how Sancho likes to cut inside. And he made Aina's job really difficult, but Aina grew into that. And he knew what was going on after that. And Aina, I thought, was great. Again, playing out from the back, which is really important. And he was a real asset yesterday. Moreno, I thought, I don't know, he was okay, but I think he could have done better. I think with the Noni Madueke one, if you're going to show your man inside, I think you should be trying to look and make that tackle. And if not, call someone over, have someone else on the edge of the box to try and help you out. But he's shown him inside and he's made it really easy for him for the Chelsea equaliser. That was the one thing I thought I don't think Moreno did too well in. But he was okay. He was okay. But I wouldn't necessarily say it was one of his best games. I thought Nico's impact off the bench was really good. So I'm happy with Nico for that. In the midfield, Elliot Anderson, he's a nifty player, isn't he? He's strong. He's got that great upper body strength. And he's silky smooth on the ball. He runs into those pockets of space that you need him to run into and collect the ball. And he's good at making that start to the attack, which I like. So Elliot Anderson, I've been impressed with since day one. I think his attitude is spot on. He doesn't look like someone that's sulking about the fact he had to leave Newcastle, which of course was a bit of a shock for him and a bit of a disappointment. He just looks like a young lad that wants to go out there and play football and has a genuine passion for Forest, which I just love to see. And it's great to see how he's embraced us and how we've embraced him in that respect. So, buzzing for Elliot Anderson. Ryan Yates. I mean, he could be another man of the match contender. People give Ryan Yates stick all the time. And I've always said it. I don't think that Ryan Yates is the best footballer in this Forest side. Technically, I would say he's not even up there, really, on a technical ability basis. But he's got that heart and he's got that determination and the endurance and just ultimately shithousery as well. We've got to be honest. He's a great shithouse. In an informal way of saying it. But Ryan Yates yesterday picked up an £120 million Enzo Fernandez, made his life hell, and then thought, you know what, Caicedo's in there as well. I'm going to make his life hell. £230 million worth of players almost. And Ryan Yates, the Forest Academy graduate, the club he's been at since he was, 6 or 7 years old, has just made their life difficult and ultimately nullified their talent. I mean, that is just, for me, it's just fantastic. And I love it. And when someone says to me, determination isn't enough to take you there in football or for you to be a great player, I'd say you're wrong. Because I'd say that Ryan Yates, he doesn't, of course, only have determination because he's a good footballer. You're not a Premier League footballer if you're not good and you're not got the quality and you have got technical ability. Of course he does. But Yates this season has just continually proved people wrong. No matter how much Forest spend on midfielders, I can guarantee you there'll always be one constant, and it'll be Ryan Yates. And that is such an incredible thing. It can be painful in terms of the fact that you go, I've just spent £30 million on Sangari, but and obviously Sangari's injured, so it's hard to talk about his situation. But Ryan Yates for me is just someone that doesn't ever get enough praise, and he'll get enough praise this weekend because he's been finally published on the big outlets who are giving him the airtime and they're giving him the space in their tabloids and stuff to say how good he played. But anyone who goes and watches the games, will know that 9 times out of 10 Ryan Yates is putting in the effort and having a good game. And yesterday was just brilliant. And another thing that people don't really pick up on as much from what I've seen is how many free kicks Ryan Yates wins. You've got a set piece specialist in James Ward-Prowse. You've got someone as tall as Nikola Milenkovic who got his assist from that cross from Ward-Prowse yesterday into Chris Wood. You've got to think there's a structure and there's a plan to this. Ryan Yates wins you free kicks. Ward-Prowse takes them. Milenkovic is there. Chris Wood's there. You might have Morato in there. You've got a load of different players in there who are all capable of scoring from set pieces. Ryan Yates is going to be so important with that. And again, it just fills me with so much joy that we can say Ryan Yates, the young lad from Lincoln who came through at Forest Academy, has just gone on and pocketed, essentially, Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo and made them look not that great. So, I think, he's every club needs a Ryan Yates. And consistently, for every single manager since he's properly come into the first team, that over the however many years it is, he's been selected. So when someone says, "Oh, how on earth is he being selected?" Well, you've had a various different amount of managers that play different systems, that play, with different styles, and they like different players, and they've got a different idea on recruitment and philosophy. But there's one constant through it all, and it's him. And that, for me, just says a lot. So picking him was spot on. And him, Anderson and Ward-Prowse, I do like in midfield. I do like it when you're playing that system we played yesterday. So I was really happy. I was really, really happy with that. And I thought, again, just Yatesy, brilliant. And it's so great to see an academy player doing so well. And obviously it's gutting that others didn't make it, like your Alex Martins and Joe Worrell, necessarily didn't really have the greatest time in the Prem. I'm good for him, but that's football. And for me, Ryan Yates I think the mentality is just so perfect. And every setback, he just comes back and makes two huge steps forward after. So, yeah, just congratulations is all I'd say, and well done, because he's brilliant, isn't he? Brilliant. Danish Red, we played to our strengths at the moment. Warden Sanuno, yeah, I agree. He doesn't always get it 100% right, as I say. I think that the home performances is when he's got it wrong a lot of the time, and the Fulham setup wasn't right for that game whatsoever. But he recognises that, and he's we've reacted from that Fulham loss, haven't we? We've reacted, and we set up so well against Chelsea, and arguably I think we're probably going to do better against the top 10 teams than we are against the bottom teams, which is something that a few Wolves fans might say the same on. But we will set up better away, and I do think we'll win more away games than home this year, I'll be honest. But that being said, I think that Nuno will know what he has to improve on for the next home game. Hi, Sebastian. Good to be back. Good to see you back as well. It's been a little while. Again, I apologise. It's a 6 p.m. kickoff, isn't it, on this stream? I am back. It's been a bit of a lengthy layoff just because of various personal reasons, but I am back. And we are in the midst of the house move still. Which does mean that in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to Greece on Wednesday. My Olympiakos shirt is ready. But in a couple of weeks' time, when I'm back from holiday, I will probably be starting to move all my stuff around. So there might be a couple of weeks where there isn't a stream. But then after that, I'll have my own room and hopefully a studio as well as part of the move. So, exciting stuff, really. Exciting stuff. But it's good to have you guys back. There's 11 of you on at the moment. I understand it's a Monday night, so I know that many of you will be with your kids or maybe still at work or just relaxing, and you might not want to hear about Forest. I get it, it's Monday. But for those that are on, thank you very much. And do like and subscribe, and make sure you leave me a comment as well, to let me know what your thoughts are, and if you're agreeing with me or maybe not agreeing with me as well. It's been an interesting old day to be a Forest fan, hasn't it? I saw some bits on Twitter, and it's always interesting to have that Man City stuff going on as well all day. So it's an interesting time to be talking about football, isn't it? So I'm hoping that maybe I can extend it and do a few more bits as well across football in general. Hi, mate. How you doing? It's good to see you, mate. Nuno shored up our defence over the summer. Big step forward. We needed to be able to compete with the big teams away. Get some wins at the City Ground and we're flying. Mate, I couldn't agree more. Good to hear from you. Drop me a text as well. It's been a while. But yeah, I think, look, when it comes to the home form, I just think the setup usually is wrong. Because you look at, and it feels like it's a bitter taste in the mouth. And I don't want it to be a negative stream, because we played really well against Chelsea yesterday, and we deserve to be talked about and credited for that performance. And by the way, I think Chelsea were lucky to not have a man sent off. Nicholas Jackson, no way should Nicholas Jackson have still been on the pitch, okay, or in the stands, because at the end of the day, on the pitch, he should have been given a card. He was time wasting, arguing with his own players, arguing with ours when we were trying to take the free kick. And then he hit Morato in the face, which, by the way, is complete violent conduct. You've seen it before, and he should be punished for that. I think he should be suspended. And if the PGMOL incidents panel don't think that is violent conduct, then there's an inconsistency, even when you're making this decision after the game, and you're telling me that you can't be suspended. After the game, when you've got the footage, I took a video, which I'll probably try and find a way to link it somewhere in the next couple of streams. But you can see that Nicholas Jackson smacks him like that. But hey, back to home form though. As you said there, mate, a couple of wins at the City Ground, and you set that home form right. If you can keep the away form as well, there's no reason Forest can't be pushing into that mid-table, possibly more territory. There's a lot of teams underperforming at the moment. Your Palace, Wolves, 100%. And I do feel for Gary O'Neill, I'm going to be honest, because I don't think Wolves have backed him. Fosun haven't backed him at all. And I would probably anticipate they're struggling with FFP for whatever reason. And I feel for Gary O'Neill, because while some fans will argue maybe he hasn't made the best decisions tactically, he's working with essentially no resources at the moment. And they've had a lot of injuries. They've barely recruited. And I feel for him. But Wolves are underperforming and they're not picking up points. Crystal Palace aren't picking up points. They're underperforming. Their big players aren't turning up at the moment, which is a real concern for them. Southampton, I would say, just tactically are just so rigid, and they don't want to move, and they don't want to adapt, which I think is going to hurt them in the Premier League. Obviously, then there's a few other teams as well in them. Obviously, Ipswich and Leicester as well, who've got their first win now. So I suppose maybe they're back in some sort of contention. But for me, out of the three teams that came up, Ipswich are the ones that look like they'll stay up. At the start of the season, I predicted them to go down. Then I went on an Ipswich channel and said they'd stay up. So I'm kind of a little bit mixed, but they've made some good signings. But for Forest, though, as you said there, the wins at the City Ground do have to come soon. Drawing against Bournemouth wasn't great. Drawing against Wolves wasn't great. Losing to Fulham, not great. So, yeah, we just need to improve that home form. Do you think it's a concern, though, that we're only averaging one goal a game? Possibly. I would like us to score more goals, which is definitely something that we can improve on. And I do think that actually there's been quite a few chances that we've had that we just haven't put away. And teams know that Callum Hudson-Odoi is going to try and cut in, from the left, and he's going to try and do that. So Nuno's played him somewhere else to see what he can do from the crosses. Forest have to find better and more creative ways to score goals this season, because teams will know how Nuno plays, because he's been a manager at two different clubs before Forest in the Premier League. And of course, when he was manager at Wolves, he was successful, but people soon find out how he plays. Forest have to be adaptable. They have to be versatile. and everyone has to make an impact. I think one criticism I'd have of Forest over the last 3 seasons is that the goals weren't spread out enough. You need more goals from every area of the pitch, particularly midfield. You need more goals from the likes of Gibbs-White. You need more goals from the likes of maybe even Yatesy. You want a couple more goals from him, and Elliot Anderson, etc., etc. You want these guys to start getting a couple more goal contributions, because you don't want all of your season to be relying on Chris Wood, which Chris Wood is fantastic. He's really fantastic. His hold-up play. I mean, sometimes he'll get a pass that is just so fast to him, and it's just like any normal person, if you try and touch that and stop the ball's trajectory as well as he does, you will just fail horrendously. But he makes the touch and he makes the pass, and he's such a good link-up striker, I think. He's really underrated in that respect. And actually, that's why Santiago Jimenez wouldn't do so well at Forest, I don't think. And I hope we don't go in for him in January now. And I know it's easy to say, but Omar Marmoush would do so well at Forest if you wanted that back up to Chris Wood or Taiwo, because Omar Marmoush does well in transition, and that's the important thing. Can they hold up the ball? Can they play off the winger? How good are they at that? That's what Forest are looking for. They're not looking for someone that's constantly playing off the shoulder and not really offering much creatively. I think that the striker situation, we're in good hands with Chris Wood. Taiwo, it's a tough one. I think that he might just be coming back to fitness now, which is obviously taken a long time for him since his groin surgery around the new year. But I want him to kick on and just be fit, because when Taiwo's fit, we all know what he's capable of. I mean, seriously, you give him a couple games and he will get you goals. He's proven. It's just the fitness. And I do think it's quite sad, actually, when there was a couple of murmurs at the Forest game on Sunday as well, people berating Taiwo, and you've seen it before, and people take it too far. He's a human being. He doesn't choose to be injured, because no footballer enjoys being injured. People say it all the time. Oh, Reece James, I actually saw him yesterday and I had a quick chat with him after the game, and asked him how he was. And obviously he's still got the injury issues, and you can tell that he's frustrated because he's not playing football. And I don't know why a player would want to be injured and not play football. Taiwo, I can imagine more than anyone wants to play, because he will want to improve himself and better his career. And, he's 27 now. So he's not young, but he's not necessarily old. He's in that kind of perfect period for him where he can, start getting some goals and hopefully recover his form and show Forest what he can do even at his age, and carry on and make Forest more of a force in this league. I just wish people would be a bit more understanding and empathetic towards him, because I think he deserves that. And he saved Forest in that first season, and we wouldn't be here without him. And I'm grateful for that. So I want Taiwo to come back to fitness, and I really hope he will. And I think we'll get more goals as a result of that, because if you can give Chris Wood adequate rest, and you can give him his chances just to have time away, and you've got Taiwo scoring and whatever else, fantastic. And I'd like to see the lads coming off the bench making that impact and getting the goals. Your Elanga, I want Elanga to be getting 5 to 10 goals this year and improving on his stats that were really good last year, and recovering that early season form he had. So, yeah, I think I would like to see the goals spread out more, is what I'm saying. And I would like to see more of that. And I would like to see the home form improve. But overall, as a Forest fan, to start this season, you've lost 1 game in 7. You've got 10 points. You've played Liverpool and Chelsea already, Brighton as well. So it's hard not to be happy. It's hard not to be happy. And, again, as much as I am out there analysing the game, and it is a professional thing, it's just amazing. It's amazing from a fan perspective that you try and step out of, when you're doing the analysis, just to kind of sit back and go, wow, not only are we in the Premier League, but people are saying Forest have got a great defensive record. Forest have got this, Forest have got that. Look at Forest recruitment in the summer. We've gone from having all the noise on us, having, so many eyes on us and so much controversy, to going, what, we don't need that mentality. And we don't need that mentality. When a refereeing decision goes against us, like the Nicholas Jackson thing, for example, should be off, should be suspended. you just get on with it. You just get on with it. And it's like the penalty thing at Fulham. There's only so long, I think, that you can moan about a refereeing decision before you actually look in the mirror and go, well, we weren't good enough that game. Because we weren't. Even with a penalty, you'd look at that game, and if you looked at it and we got 2 penalties and we'd scored 2 and 1, I'd be sitting back going, we've not won that game fairly. That's not the right result. On the face of it, I think that game should have been a draw because I thought both teams were poor. But the thing I'm liking about Forest is that even when those tough times and the controversial moments happen, Forest remain quiet and they get on with it. Last season was just a complete blip and so many things went wrong. And all of a sudden the eyes have just shifted off. And that's how it should stay. And I think if Forest really want to do well, you take these bad moments, with a pinch of salt, and you just get on with it, because we know that there's enough quality in this team now to go and achieve. And I think that we have so much talent in that squad, and I can't see outside factors really impacting us massively unless we let them. So that's just another note as well, because I've not been streaming for a while. I just wanted to kind of get that out of the way and say that I think that Forest as a whole are improving because of the fact that we are maturing and as a football club and as an entity, and we are gaining the respect of other clubs because we do that. And we've clearly got a strategy of what we want to achieve. And it's kind of evident that we're going out to achieve that. For example, bringing in the likes of Milenkovic, Murillo, and all these kind of low-cost stars, the superstars that you're going to see in a pipeline recruitment, as they called it on Forest Focus, which I'd recommend going and watching, by the way. It's fantastic. They called it pipeline recruitment in regard to the fact that you're bringing in a player who's eventually going to succeed someone who's going to be sold soon. So you all know that Murillo is going to be potentially for sale in the summer next year. You've brought Morato in. You've got David Carmo on loan at Olympiacos. You've got Omar Bamidele, who you can't forget. He's a fantastic player, and you can't sleep on Omar Bamidele because he is just someone that is just, he's got so much potential. It's just unfortunate that he in front of him has got potentially 2 of, at the moment, the most informed defenders in the Premier League. And Milenkovic, I think, will be up there with the defenders this year. And that's a big, bold prediction. I'll take the criticism, whatever. He's going to be up there. Murillo gets a lot of attention, and he'll be up there too. But Milenkovic has so much to offer. What a player. So we have a serious depth in goal-scoring talent. It will just take regular minutes for the wingers and Tao for them to kick on. This stage last season, him and Elanga were top class. That's it. The earlier stages of the season, him and Elanga were brilliant. It's just the end where they weren't so good. And obviously, Towers came through fitness and Elanga's came through confidence, I think. But look, it's gonna be up to Nuno to give them that, and I really hope that he does, because I knew that we weren't probably going to bring in another striker just based on the fact that Nuno will want a smaller squad. It's something he's always had, and in fairness to him, he's got a smaller squad, and it's working out, and it's doing bits at the moment. So yeah, I do agree. More minutes in the legs for them, and we'll definitely get the best out of them. Dor, my friend, thank you for the support as always, and as well, thank you for encouraging me to get back on this as well. Even though, despite there has been personal issues, also a bit of complacency from me, which I don't like. I don't like being complacent, so I do apologise. But I am back on the streaming. I promise. I'm hoping to get a lot of you guys in as guests, doing your call-ins, asking you questions. But I just wanted to have a quick chat with you there about Chelsea. So it's been good talking. I'm going to be back. When's the next game? A couple of weeks. So I'll be back for the next game. Do stick with me. I'm going on a holiday on Wednesday, so I'm looking forward to that. Going to Crete. So as I say, I'll have my Olympiacos shirt with me as well. So shout out to them as well. But no, it's been good to chat to some of you this evening. Thank you for tuning in again. I appreciate it. I know it's a bit of an awkward time on a Monday night as well. So I just want to thank you for that. And thank you for welcoming me back to streaming with such warm, open arms. And I'm hoping that Forest can pick up some more points, and looking forward to sharing my journey doing the commentary as well along the way. So, I'll be seeing you all very soon. Thank you again for your support this evening. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon after the next game. But for now, thank you goodbye, and enjoy your evening. Thank you.